now.
So we are live with MOTU Joe.
Joe.
Hey, MOTU Joe.
What's going on?
And
How are you guys?
And for those of you who don't realize, of course, MOTU is Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe. That is the acronym for Masters of the Universe. And MOTU Joe is what you might call an expert on Masters of the Universe. And, I'll throw it out there. Sorry?
A die fan for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what got you started in there? What's the roots there?
Child, 80s nostalgia for sure. Growing up in the 80s, it was one of the major toy lines I played with. I didn't have a tremendous amount of them. I got a messenger. I'm closing off a window here so we don't get distracted. I apologize.
No problem.
I played with a lot of different toys, but He-Man was one of the quintessential figures. I had He-Man, I had Battle Armor He-Man, Tila, Stratos, but I didn't have a tremendous amount of the other accessories. So it was a lot of mixed play. I always talk about Mask and He-Man, and I played with them together and stuff like that. But yeah, He-Man goes back to my childhood. Say it again.
Difference. That's like Hobbits.
Yeah, it worked. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually.
Sure.
In particular, what it was I didn't have Battle Cat, and I know it wasn't to scale, but at all. But He-Man rode Stinger. He had his legs in the T-top, and that's what I drove him around in. So it was cool.
That's interesting. So you started off on was it just the toys, or were you into the Filmation?
I did enjoy the cartoon, but I didn't get to see it a tremendous amount. Just the timing of things, and it just, I don't know. I didn't see it all the time. When it was on, I watched it. Interestingly enough, though, I didn't watch much of She-Ra. Almost none of it. Even to this day, I've seen very little of the actual She-Ra cartoon, which is a shame. I get it. I'll get to it at some point.
Yeah, because did you have it after school or Saturday morning? Because I know it was primarily an after school show, and that's when I watched it. But I know some people, they saw it Saturday mornings instead, and of course that had has something to do with the network wherever they are. Did you have it after?
It was primarily in the morning, Saturday morning, but you did also get it both. It kind of was a transition between different stations getting it, but yes, primarily for me, most of my cartoon watching was done either early Saturday morning or right after school in that 3 o'clock to 4:35 window. And that was it. That was the prime time for us kids to watch.
Yeah. So we got some people here. We got Punisher X, K Munin, hello, and Dama. And we do have MOTU Joe in the house, and he's gonna talk to us. And if you haven't seen his channel, you know Justice Curry. He has about a good amount of Masters of the Universe. His collection is right in line, or maybe sometime even better, because I've seen stuff in his collection that Justice doesn't have.
Yeah.
And so he got a great Masters collection. He do tours, unboxings, and all of that great stuff. So, and he also, because everybody always asks us about cases for our action figures, he does the cases. MOC Masters cases, and they're sold on Big Bad Toy Store.
And they are UV coated, correct?
Yes, but not coated. they're UV protected, so it's actually infused within the plastic process. Okay. I've been to I'm sorry, super dork moment there. It does actually matter. because the layer of films that some things in some places use, typically on acrylic, that can peel off. You want it to be
Sure.
embedded. You want it to actually be truly part of the raw PET formulation and process, which is what our cases are.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Okay, we got Hank and William and
Link
Link.
is there.
Yeah.
Back to the Filmation. I think it's interesting though. I used to watch it when I was a kid, along with a lot of other cartoons.
Yeah.
But I'm finding that as an adult, I'm appreciating it better. You know, there's some shows that I'm going back and watching now as an adult, and I'm like, yeah, this holds up. I like this. Like we're watching Brave Star, we're watching Mask, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, which is surprisingly good, well written. But and then of course you have other cartoons that you watch and you're like, what was I thinking? Because it's like garbage. But I'm finding I'm appreciating them better as an adult. And I haven't seen She-Ra since I was a kid either. I remember watching it, and I remember particularly that the Horde group was really funny. I don't know about She-Ra and whatever she was doing, but for some reason, whenever you saw Horde, because they did the whole like slapstick kind of thing that they did with Skeletor, but it was seemed like it was more intense.
Yeah, it's a faint, vague memory for me. I barely watched it, but you're correct. I know that there was follies. I always thought it was weird that Hordak did the transformations and was shape shifting. I don't
Yeah,
know why, but I had just this disconnect with the She-Ra property as a kid. As an adult, I get it. Like you say, looking back, I can see the
sure.
nostalgic, the tie. Um, I do have an appreciation for it, but I didn't really very much as a kid.
Well, I think that a lot of people didn't get it, and I honestly, I know hindsight is 2020. That if they had done the She-Ra figures the same as they did the females in the He-Man show, it would have done better. Because when the toys stopped selling, they just trashed the shows. They shut them down. That's how cartoons worked. No profits from the toys, then hey, you're not getting a show, kids. Forget it. But
Yeah, no showcase for the toys, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think if they, just my opinion, if they did the She-Ras like they did Evelyn and Tila, that because it was primarily boys buying the stuff, they could have made a better association.
Yeah, it
Um,
could it could have.
did you watch the new Masters of the Universe that just came out with Kevin Smith and that other one? How did you like it?
Yeah, I liked Revelation. I didn't have much issue at all, no issue really with the program. I thought it was good. It was just a different storyline. I mean,
Uh-huh.
not to digress from Revelation, but I really enjoyed the CGI version as well. Just a completely different take on Orko and the whole concept. So change isn't always bad, and I didn't mind this iteration at all. And I'm excited to see the second portion of it. It does sound
The
like the
second,
second portion is going to be the last portion, meaning that we're not going to have like a season 3. This is apparently going
Uh-huh.
to be
right?
it. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah, we haven't seen it, so but we wanted to ask, did you see the kiddie show? There's like a child's version also. Have you seen that?
Yep, that's the CGI version I mentioned.
Oh, I
Oh,
see. I
okay,
see.
okay,
Okay.
okay. And does
Yep,
that one have a good storyline? You're liking that one too?
I do. I do like that one. That one unfortunately isn't okay. There's rumors that season 3 was it. There is no season 4,
Uh,
but there's another thread that says there is a season 4. I don't know. I don't know, but this is an example of the CGI toys and kind of what
right.
it looks like and the series, right?
Right.
So, um, I do like it. I do think it is definitely kids. It's not. It doesn't really follow a strong suit within the original Masters line too much, but the thread is there. And I mean, with that, this isn't giving anything away, but Orko is a floating droid robot in this one, and it's cool. I actually like the interpretation of it. So I think it's worth the watch for if you're open for something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we know you collect 80s masters and you collect masters. Do you collect anything else? Because when I see your channel, it seems like that's all I ever see. I might be missing something, but do
No,
you collect anything else?
there are a few other things, but not very much. So as an example, you mentioned Mask.
Yeah.
Mask is probably my favorite 80s cartoon, and
Okay.
it's probably what I played with most next to Legos as a kid.
Okay.
He-Man would probably be right behind that, with along with G.I. Joe and He-Man are kind of neck and neck. But I loved Mask and Transformers too. I was fortunate to have just a few of everything, but nothing of too much of any one thing.
Right.
So I love Mask, and I have the whole collection, all the way through the Split Second series. I have the European uh, series as well, where they were only on card backs. They're not on card backs; mine are loose, but I have the whole collection. I have a few things in sealed package and a few boxed items. I have the race car tracks. I started doing the merchandise thing, lunch boxes, games, books. I have a decent collection of for Mask.
Okay.
Um, Secondarily, behind that would probably be Dragon Ball Z. Uh, that's what I went crazy with before I started going crazy with 2000 Transformers, 2000 X He-Man, all sorts of crazy video games and stuff. Dragon Ball Z was there, and I have still one bookshelf in the den here that is that
Oh,
guy over there
Oh yeah.
is it can't really do the camera always is messed up. Um, Dragon Ball Z was everything for me. I loved it. Loved the series. I still love the series. I don't actively collect that line anymore, but I do have my entire collection, which there's about 17 to 20 totes of Dragon Ball Z collection in storage at the moment. And then,
we all got totes.
yeah. And then the other guy, and it is literally just the guy, is Juggernaut.
Oh, that's the Toy
I,
Biz Juggernaut.
I collect any and all things Juggernaut. So if he had an
Just
appearance, like an appearance, the best example I can give of how ridiculous down this wormhole I've gone with Juggernaut is I'm trying to get every appearance of Juggernaut in comics, which is a foolhardy effort. But fortunately, it's not that crazy of an effort compared to like Wolverine. Good luck, you know. So this has a bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I can find it eventually, right, by going down there. But the cool thing is it's these are cheap, and there's a lot of things out there. The only thing I really don't have from the Juggernaut collection that are merchandise or product wise are the Bowen statues and a couple of the higher end statues. But otherwise, every figure that's come out that I know of, I've managed to get. The variant figures I've managed to get. All of them are in package. I collect Juggernaut as well, so it's cool. I picked up 6 of these guys this past weekend at the Great Ohio Toy Show.
Oh, okay. We were at the Toylanta.
Oh yeah, cool. I heard it was a really good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So what got you into collecting? What jumped you off?
It was it's the best I can determine. It's my grandfather and grandmother, technically both of them. They went and they traveled the world and they started to bring back mementos, and basically they were pennants. And I started having pennants from all over the world from their destinations. And then my grandfather and grandmother both garage saled, but my grandfather was the hustler, and he took me out on the weekends to garage sale, and we would pick up more pennants and other things, and occasionally there'd be something else that I'd find. And it really kind of started off with pennants on the wall and different sports teams, different things. I just pennants, and then nothing, no real collecting of any kind. Really, I've thought about this before too, until college again. Like there
Oh,
was There just was nothing in between that whole span of like, I would say I stopped doing the pennants probably around age 10 or 11. I mean, I still bought toys, I still had things, I still played, but collecting, that was kind of it until I got to college.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then, did you have a time where you like, you're an adult and you're married, you got kids, and you're like, I need to get rid of this?
No.
People think I'm crazy. You know?
What?
Yeah, I know.
What? Echo? I didn't hear it. What?
Yeah.
Let's see. We got, I own Juggy's screen worn and match helmet and the actor's chair back from the X-Men movie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
number
Our fan says that here.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I wish the performance and the representation of Juggernaut was impressive.
Yeah, it was weird.
You know what would have made that? And again, by the way, I'm not knocking that. I would drool over having some of those pieces. That's incredible. To digress to the scene, all it would have taken, I would have forgotten the acting, the costume, all of it would have been forgotten if all he would have done is a simple little head nod, just something acknowledging the stepbrother between Xavier and him. But then it didn't. It didn't. And then when he ran into the wall with the mutant canceling ability person, well, that was it. I was done. He's not a mutant. Shouldn't affect him. He should have just ran right through that kid. Sorry.
Yeah. And then, of course, Xavier's why he wears the helmet anyway.
Xavier's what?
He wears the helmet to block Xavier, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Display name Mass was one where I loved the cartoon and wasn't wild about the toys. Stuff outside of 3 3/4 scale annoys me. I agree with that. I don't like those small figures like that.
I like the mask. I have some. I don't have much, but I have some. And I liked the show because it's actually rather cleverly written. If you can get over how annoying the little boy is.
Yeah, the boy and the robot.
And it's a neglectful relationship, isn't it? It's like, yeah, stay at the hotel. I'll see you around. And leaves him to his own devices with a robot babysitter.
That T-Bob, I Need a Hero music video remix I probably watch that once every few months. Somebody took the 80s song I Need a Hero and made a remix with T-Bob as the hero, and you don't realize it because he's the slapstick comedy relief within the whole series. But there are several points in time where he is the person saving and doing these heroic acts, but they compile it all together, and you're just it's seriously, man, I'm getting excited just even thinking about it. It's so good. It's so good.
I have to look that one up. Sorry. K-Muni wants to know if you've heard of SH Figure Arts line. They got Dragon Ball Z figures that'll drive you crazy. That make your head spin.
You're right, and that's why I don't collect Dragon Ball Z anymore, because so for my collecting for DBZ, I had everything through Irwin Toys. I have all of the Bandai release toys, meaning US and from Japan. I have the AB French released toys, not all of them, but some of them, which are the same molds, exact same molds, just different packaging. And then a whole bunch of other accessories and things, pretty much up through when it started to have a little fizzle out in the early 2000s. That's about when I started to phase out of it. Shortly after the Irwin Toy and Jakks Pacific runs, that's when I started to phase out. Shortly thereafter, the figure arts and all these other things started to come out, and the statues. As soon as Dragon Ball Super hit, forget about it, man. It was just game over. I'm not even going to bother to try. I have one or two pieces because I love the characters, and that's about it.
Well, it can get overwhelming, especially with so many different companies making everything. And we're seeing some of that from Mattel right now, actually. But, aside from obviously you collect Masters of the Universe. Is there a limit on that? Is there any specific incarnation you focus on, or is it? Oh, are you open to all of it?
It's all of it with an asterisk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll elaborate. It's a pretty simple articulation. If it's the original Masters logo, I want it.
Right.
Now, again, that's super arrogant sounding. I want it. I don't mean it that way, but that's I would like it in the collection. You know, there's examples in Europe, in Italy, in Spain, where there's a dual logo, where it's both the new ventures and the old logo. Yep, bring it on. You know, there's examples where it's the old new adventures characters and it's the old logo. Yep, bring it on. That being said, I do collect and I do have the entire New Adventures collection US release mint and sealed package, and I do have several of the European released figures as well. Sorry, I said the entire. I'm missing 2 figures. I misspoke. I don't have Too Tall Hoove or Hove, however you want to say it, and I don't have Hook'em Flog. But the other guys I do have in the collection.
Have you completed the US line?
Yes, loose, but not vintage. US released. Do not have a complete sealed collection. Most people think I do. I have a lot of them, but I don't have all of them. I'm missing about, I think, 9, and they're all the big heavy hitters like Scareglow, Sorceress. No, I'm drawing a blank on one of the other ones.
Some of those 2-packs and stuff.
Oh, geez. Talking 2-packs. No, I'm talking 2-packs and collector sets. I kind of view differently. I apologize. I'm just thinking like vintage tongue lasher like this, the modern one.
Oh, okay.
Single carded released figures. I'm missing a few of those, about 10 or so. As far as 2-packs go, there's several that are very, very 2 and 3 packs.
Yeah.
To get. I'm fortunate enough to have the He-Man and Battle Cat 2-pack. It's an open box, but great condition. Everything is still intact. Both the He-Man and Battle Cat and the Skeletor and Panther 2-packs, the originals. I do have the Fisto and Stridor in sealed package. I have 4 of the J.C. Penney, Montgomery Ward, whatever 2-pack blind, not blind box, but closed sealed box mail away. I have 4 of those. I think there's a total of 12 or 14 though. So I got a good dent going in the vintage stuff, but not all of them sealed.
Because she's big on the original '80s Masters of the Universe, and she's got a lot herself. Although she does also have the Skeletor and Panther 2-pack.
Nice.
Yeah,
congrats.
But thank you, but not the Battle Cat. No. The He-Man. But I don't have to have all, because I realize, I would have to win the lottery to get some of that stuff, And the way it's going now, it's like, so I don't even bother. I get what I can, and I'm get what I can.
There's so much new stuff coming out, or has been coming out. That's way more than enough to appease a normal collector, let alone an OCD person trying to do something that's completely illogical. It's just a want. It is not a need. It's just a first world challenge. If that's it, So, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it is fun. And once you get down those rabbit holes, it's kind of hard to pull yourself out.
I haven't done the video on this yet. So you guys I teased it a little bit, but you guys, your audience can have the number first.
Sure.
I did the math on the toys, and I do mean just toys from last year, He-Man related toys. So Mega Constructs, the CGI toy line, the Masterverse, toys. That does not count shipping, does not count sales tax. This does not count duplicates. This doesn't count foreign variants. This doesn't count variants in general. This doesn't count con exclusives. This doesn't count digital NFTs. And this doesn't count statues. Okay. Literally just toys was just a smidge under $5,800 if you wanted to buy everything in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heavy price, because you got people that are straight out completists out there, and they have to have every single piece. And
mind you,
that's too much.
All those exclusions, that number is easily pushing $7,000 if you're talking a variant or a foreign or shipping and sales tax and statues. I mean, statues, some of the statues alone are $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And that doesn't even count the 6-scale Mondo stuff either, right?
No, that did count Mondo.
It did? Okay.
Mondo went way overboard last year.
Although
they went from making figures to just cranking them last year.
Well, I'm making pure speculation. But I don't fault them for doing it based on what I'm seeing once Funko's taken over. People were concerned that Funko's QC would go down, quality control would go down once they took over. People believe that was reflected in the MOTU Deluxe, the He-Man Deluxe figure where you had all the different accessories for Battle Armor and Flying Fist. I'm sorry, Thunder Punch, and the wastes are coming apart. They think that I think it's too early to say that was a Funko thing. But what is reflected is the layoffs that are taking place, the removal of the 2 CEO founders, the head of creative being removed from Mondo. All that stuff was just happened in the last little bit as part of Funko's reduction in force. So,
they killed everything except action figures and vinyl, I think, right?
Yeah, they took away their poster department.
Yeah, so it causes pause for me, but I don't fault them for doing what they did to get what they wanted out before this happened. And I don't know what this is really going to play out to be, but so far what's been laid on the platter doesn't look overly appeasing or appetizing.
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't.
They have a lot of stuff that they released at the end of the year. I mean, at the beginning of the year for projection to be, announced for 2023. Wasn't it like 7 or 8 figures?
Yeah, it was a lot. Even the Anti-Eternia He-Man and 3 versions of Hordak and the 2 anniversary
and the
figures
jaw and all of that.
It was so much.
A lot.
Yeah. I've been upfront about it for pretty much since they've been out. I wasn't a fan of Mondo at the beginning. I thought it took forever for their pre-orders when they came out. It seemed like it was 4 or 5 years before you actually saw the figure after money was taken. And then the He-Man looked a little janky. Skeletor was okay, but then you just saw the exact same buck. And please, I'm not jabbing any toy manufacturer who uses it. It's a common practice, okay? It just felt like it was the same buck, just kind of being pushed and kind of cheap. There was no real best special accessories. And when Scaragirl came out, I was like, gosh, guys, you literally just have a black buck with some glow paint put on there. Okay, the backdoor chain is cool for Castle Grayskull, but I'm just like, Then, and I get the evolution of companies and the success of them and the failure structure. I get all this. They had the money to do the additional toolings. They had the money to start doing these extra things that they had their vision that they wanted to bring to life. That happened with Merman for me. That was where I was like, whoa, okay, this is incredible. And ever since then, I've gotten just about every one of them. I'm missing She-Ra in one of the Hordak variants. And unfortunately, the really cool Scareglow version, which I would want, I don't have him either. But I digress. It's a really cool line. I hope the Funko whatever doesn't affect what we've all just laid down a lot of money on in the last few months that we won't see for another year.
Yeah. And just the whole waiting for the pre-order, and we got a couple of people talking about there's no excuse to have to wait years for a pre-order.
And it's getting to that point, and people, a lot of collectors, unfortunately, humans are really good at adjusting to being abused, and it's gotten to where it's normal to expect that you're going to make a pre-order, and then when you receive it, you'll forgot you even ordered it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that bad.
We do pre-orders for Mockmasters. It's not a year and it's not 6 months. It's typically if we run out of product or we don't get the timing right, it's 2 to 4 weeks and then we're resupplied. If it's a brand new product that we're just putting out, meaning it's never been released, it's brand new to us, new tooling, everything, we might have a 10-week pre-order window. That's it. That is a common practice nowadays, but it does seem a little bizarre when you're talking years on end sitting on someone's money. That's
and especially like I had an experience with that just recently with who was it? Big Chief Studios out of the UK with my my fourth Doctor Tom Baker 1/6 scale figure that they were producing, and the pre-order was so delinquent that the Federal Trade Commission made Sideshow give everybody their money back. And because there's a limit when it gets to about 3 years. I'd forgotten about it, but when it gets close to 3 years, the FTC gets involved, and Sideshow had to return everybody's deposit and then invite them to reorder it if they still want one.
Yeah, I had something similar. It was weird, but
now
just to remind everybody who's coming in here a little late, he does have MOC Masters. He's the one that makes these cases, not just for G.I. Joe. I just happen to have some for G.I. Joe figures.
Yeah, He-Man.
They are UV protected, and where can they find them?
You can find them at Big Bad Toy Store, like you mentioned earlier, but you can also go direct to our website as well at moc-masters.com. Mm-hmm. And actually, 2 of the products are going to be either listed on pre-order here momentarily, if not currently. Otherwise, we do have the 5.5 in stock. I think the only thing that's going to be listed as temporarily sold out, and we already do have production in the works, is the Marvel Legends Star Wars Black case.
Now that's what I was gonna ask. Can you let everybody know what do you make cases for? Because like we have the G.I. Joe, and then you showed us Masters of the Universe. But you got all kinds of stuff. We got Rambo, we got Swamp Thing, we got all kinds of sizes.
I actually this size is pretty universal. A lot of stuff goes in this size container. The Rock Lords, and I've got Mego figures in here and all kinds of stuff. But other sizes get weird. Yeah. It's like, it fits, it doesn't fit, maybe it'll fit. The Rambo figures were tough to find cases for, and they're still kind of in there.
Yeah, so it's difficult to say, for me to remember all the lines, and I promise that's not some type of sales pitch. But generally speaking, the 3 3/4 inch, which is what you were holding up, the 6x9 card back. That's what that accommodates. So G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Reaction, like your standard Reaction figures now. They're all 6x9. Action Force, Mask US release. It's a snug fit, but Mask US release carded figures. There's about 17, 18 different lines or more that are known to fit those cases. And when we say fit those cases, we need the standard release figures. There's special figures that are bigger blisters or double wides, and we have about 95+% compatibility with 6x9 card backs. Then you jump up to like the He-Man size, 5.5. This works for Super 7, Vintage He-Man, Modern He-Man, WWE Superstars, Masters of WWE, Realm of the Underworld. I mean, there's like 12 different lines that are in that 5.5-inch figure size that fit that card back size. Then there's the TMNT case.
Yeah, that one is a hard one.
The we're in stock. We have the Ninja Turtles case, and it's probably our best seller. It accommodates the regular Ninja Turtles case, accommodates standard turtles. It does not accommodate your movie monsters, the first wave where they're movie monsters, or the Star Trek where they've got the bowed card. But we have a solution for those. We'll get to that next. And it doesn't accommodate the wacky action ones. We'll get to that next because I have one that does that too. Pretty much the only thing that we don't have the turtles for is their jumbo car. I forget what the name of it is, where they're like throwing stuff or crazy. It's a huge card. But all the other turtles at this point, to the best of my knowledge, we've got a case that can accommodate a turtle now. So the wacky action turtles will fit in the MOTU Deluxe case. Fits beautifully in the MOTU Deluxe case. The new Ghostbusters, our GBTC case. By the way, I don't expect anyone to remember all this crap I'm rattling off. It's all on the website. But you
okay, but it's a picture of some pictured examples.
Yes, they're all on the website. So Ghostbusters, so the Ghostbusters GBTC, Ghostbusters Toxic Crusaders GBTC. So that works for those taller card turtles that I mentioned, the ones that didn't fit. Now there's some play on the sides that fit centered, but it accommodates that height. The new Ghostbusters case also will accommodate Silverhawks. Again, that means it's center fit, but it does very well with your Marvel Legends 6-inch now. It fits the New Adventures He-Man series. As a matter of fact, we didn't plan on this. This is a happy coincidence. I just talked about it in one of my last videos. It fits the 2000X series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This, now again, just to show, the 2000X has this bump out where the logo actually comes out. The blister, most people don't realize, runs from the very bottom of the card all the way up, and even through the peg holder is the blister, including this bump out here where there was a sticker. That bump out is touching our case. It is touching right there. Some people won't like that. I'm always upfront about it, but the vast majority of people don't care. It's a case for a 2000X, which hasn't existed in a really long time, and now there's one option for it. All of my stuff is in this case, which is what I've been converting. And actually, side note, this is the first release He-Man figures from Toys R Us in Times Square. That's the sticker. That's the 4 Horsemen signatures when actually all 4 of them were still there. And you could only get this figure at Times Square opening weekend of the inaugural launch. And yeah, just this little side history note there. So anyway.
Okay.
Oh, and for the record,
there's lots of stuff on the site. All the pictures are there.
They accommodate some older stuff too, because I got early 70s Weebles carded sets that fit in these.
Yeah. So make sure you go to the website. Huh?
I said tall G.I. Joe, those are starting to grow in value. It blows my mind. Like, I get it. I do. Trust me, I get it. If I'm selling stuff, I don't always care about how great a condition I keep it in unless I know it's super valuable, right? Most people have that mindset. But these tall G.I. Joes, this is like the Battle Cores and the Ninja series, right? Those were $3, $4, $5, $10 figures not that long ago. Not that long ago. They are now $20, $40, $60, $80 figures in some cases, and the sellers aren't putting them in cases yet. They're still putting them on pegs. I walked the last show, and almost every single person selling one didn't have it in a case. Now, I get there's still some cheap ones, but the point of me rambling with this is that we have a case that accommodates tall G.I. Joe. And at some point, the market's going to go, I need cases. These are too expensive. We're ready. We're ready for you. That's the
those
point.
'90s properties are starting to catch up
Yeah.
as those kids from that era are aging into that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of them are still pretty inexpensive, and I've mentioned it before. You know, we did a series on this channel. It's a three-part series: '70s, '80s, and '90s figures that are cheaper than their modern counterparts. Because there's a lot of stuff from those eras that you can find that the reprints that they're selling now cost more than the original versions. For
That's
example,
crazy.
the Playmates Ronin Warriors, if you remember that line, Playmates Ronin Warriors based on the anime, you can pick those up for like $50 a piece, and they were made in the mid '90s. The modern ones are the same size, and they run 170 to 200 retail. Stuff like that. It doesn't make sense, and because I tell people, a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't collect vintage because I can't afford it." Yeah, you can. It depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
The big sexy stuff's going to be expensive, but there's a lot of toy lines that are a lot cheaper, and just for making the point there.
I agree. I agree. There's opportunities in a lot of different toy lines if you're willing to. I will say that there's a caveat in that if it's something that you're super passionate about and it's the only thing that's out there, like I can't even think of an example, but it's the only company. They only made the one line. Never Ending Story. There you go. Never Ending Story toys from over Mexico or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You have one option there, so that's you grin and bear it.
Yeah.
Or sorry.
Oh, there's always those pieces that are going to be really tough.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not too much you can do about it. 200X. You have some 200X, obviously. You watched that? You watched that show?
Yeah.
You like that? I see you like that show.
I like that version too. I like that they gave you more of a backstory for each character instead of like the '80s. You kind of just figured out who the characters were and what,
Kind of,
and it was just, we're here now, we're moving forward. But in that one, they gave you some backstory, and it was kind of middle adultish. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
there's
wasn't
excuse me. This I do get some backlash on occasion for this, but it's the truth. 2000X, I feel, is far superior to the original series. I understand we wouldn't have 2000X without the original. I'm not obtuse to that. The original has a place and it's solidified in perpetuity. Okay, I'm not questioning that. But I personally enjoyed the 2000X series way more. I watched that entire series every single year at deer camp. When I'm up there deer hunting in between breaks and in and out of stuff, and a lot of times I'll be by myself in my little my camper. That's what I'll be watching on the DVD player. Every year I watch that series. I love it.
Yeah, and I get some of that backlash with the Transformers too, because if you really, I know people love the Transformers, but if you really take a good look at the show as an adult, in my opinion anyway, the only thing it had going for it was the voice acting, because the writing is not good, the continuity is not good, the timing on the frames is not good. There's a lot of issues with it if you watch it. It wasn't really well written until the movie, and everyone hated the movie because they killed Optimus. The movie was well written, actually, if you want to think about it. But yeah, people are, how can you say that? Well,
it's true.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the 200X a lot better.
Yeah.
And like you said, I know I like the Filmation for what it is. I have respect for that.
Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah, but I would rather see the 200X, and I wish they had went further with it. I wish they had did more. But they canceled it because we have it on DVD too.
Yeah.
And they canceled it after one
season.
Two seasons. And but I thought it was well done. I thought it was I thought it was the best. We watched New Adventures.
That was hard to watch.
I couldn't get into. I couldn't get into that one. I watched like the first 3 episodes, and I'm like, I just couldn't.
It's tough.
It was hard.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was hard.
Now this is what I haven't watched all of it either. And again, at some point I will. But I've been told that you kind of have to get past the first few episodes. It does get better. It's different animation style. I believe it was a Japanese house that was doing some of the animation, which brings in some pretty cool stuff. But that beginning phase is just tough to get through, apparently. So fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah.
How about the movie? What did you think of the live action film from the 80s?
I wasn't a fan of the 80s. As a kid, when I was younger and saw it, we all wanted to see He-Man that we thought of as the toy or the cartoon. That part was a little disappointing. However, looking as an adult, even as a young adult, looking back at the show, it's a cult classic. As soon as I say B movie, even though it's not a B movie, it's in a B movie genre for most people. It's really good cult classic. It is everything quintessential of an 80s movie, and it's fantastic for that reason.
Yeah, it's like Flash Gordon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Flash Gordon's even more over the top, and so, but yes, it's I have a friend of mine in Germany has some of the original prop pieces and some of the really cool stuff. And this is so super dork. I don't think I have it. Oh my god, wait. No, I don't. I don't have it. Okay, well, maybe. All right, so he has the original cruiser ship, the scale model cruiser ship that Skeletor, flew in on the city with, like that's an actual scale model, and it has these guns up on the front. And one of the fins or whatever, they had 2 different versions of the guns. He kept the set of guns that were used in the movie, and then he sent me one of the fins or whatever from it, or from one of the guns from the prop. So that's really cool, super dork, nothing crazy. But this part is kind of cool. Gwildor's staff.
Yeah.
This is a casting piece from the original crystal that was in the staff that Martin recasted the crystal and then was trying to get it to a proper clear without the bubbles in it, so he could actually redo Gwildor's staff properly. So these are some little pieces that were tied directly and indirectly to the movie. And then this bag of sticky wires and crap, it is crap, okay, are from the guts of from his staff, from that used to power or light Gwildor's staff, not the cosmic key, but his staff. So it's just some weird stuff. Mention the movie.
The thing I thought I saw that in the theater when I was a kid, and the thing that the weirdest thing to pick up on, sitting in the theater getting annoyed at how many times the detective cocked his shotgun. Because if you pay attention, he cocks it like 9 times. Every time he opens his mouth, and it's like, you drop a shell every time you do that. And I'm thinking, that gun's got to be empty. He has to.
Why would you think that?
That's what I'm sitting there thinking. I'm like, there's no way. Every time he'd cock it and drop a shell and be like, oh, wait a minute. No, we just dropping shells all over the place, and then the gun still works somehow.
It's so funny. I don't remember that. I know. But you saying that, I can kind of visualize this whole thing. And I do that on current movies like Walking Dead or something that the wife is watching or whatever. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
if I walk into the scene, you have one cock. I'm going to assume it was unloaded. You just loaded it. Everything after
Yeah.
that, I better see something come shooting out of there, right? Exact same way.
You know what kills me on Walking Dead too is when they stab someone in the head. You know how hard a skull is? You just walk up and, oh, there we go. We're just gonna tap you with this knife, and you're double dead now.
Oh, they're really
It is
good, man. They get that one sweet spot right in the temp. They're that good. They just get that. That's what it is.
Oh my God. It's hard watching TV with him. It really is. Because I'm a type of person, I just watch it and I take it for what it is.
She's picking up on it though, because she's doing it now
Yeah.
too.
Because when
That doesn't make sense. Wait a minute.
I take it for what it's worth too. I do too. I truly do for the most part. Like watching Quantumanium or Quantumania. Quantumania. There it is.
Quantumania.
There's a joke there in a second, but I totally I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't like it.
Sure.
I enjoyed it for what it was until the very, very end when I left and I went, huh. I don't know if it's that I'm just in the moment, not thinking about it, but that whole dang movie was CGI. There was all green screen. There was
Yeah.
like there was nothing real about that movie, like at all. And I know that sounds, well, movies aren't real, but you understand what I mean. There was nothing, and my brain and body and everything just was like, okay, cool. And there's a part of me that I don't like that, but part of me is also okay with the simplicity and understanding of enjoying the moment.
Yeah. And that's we talk about that quite a bit also, and it's like right now we're rewatching Space 1999, and just thinking about the effort that went into that, building these massive sets and having all these scale models and operating the models and everything so that you don't see the strings and everything else that they did, and all the effort that would have had to go into that and not screw it up, because you would have spent a week rebuilding everything if you did. It is incredible. But today you can just put a screen behind you and you watch those things, because you can find it online without the animation overlaid. And it looks ridiculous. All these people standing around in these green costumes, and then the guys who are supposed to be bigger are wearing a thing with like another double head on top of them or something stupid. And it's like, oh my God, how do you act like that?
No,
not very well in some cases, but
no.
a lot of these modern actors are not very good. But
no, it's spectacular when it's done right. Certain things. I mean, what the film, the people behind the camera can do, and then the editing. Their skill sets are at a whole nother level that I am not downplaying at all, but everyone kind of agrees that, hey, she looks superimposed. There's that whole feeling, and it just doesn't make sense sometimes. And it's impressive though, but it does look really goofy on the green screens. And even with the like the clips that you've seen, maybe where there's no laugh track or no soundtrack, they're doing it. Oh man, that's bizarre. That's hard. Can you imagine trying to be the sitcom and pause for laughs when there's nothing?
Yeah, it ain't funny. That's right. That's why in the old days it used to be filmed before a live studio audience.
And they would tell you that at the beginning of the show.
So that you knew that, okay, this is an actual response. You can't do that anymore.
No, but you're not gonna get a response.
No. No response for you.
Whose line is it anyway? That's done in front of a live studio audience. That's good.
Yeah.
I love that show. We watched that until Drew Carey left. It's some other lady now, but I liked it when Drew Carey.
Aisha?
I don't know. I've seen her a couple of times, but for some reason I just couldn't get with her. I like Drew Carey and the guy before Drew Carey when they were still in Europe. But they started off in Europe. and then they moved to the US, and that's like the funniest show I've ever seen. And it's all made up on the spot, and it's like, man, that's a good show. I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Now, the Masters of the Universe guide, that book that Pixel Dan has been going around to a lot of the shows with.
It's up there.
It's up there. We have one too. But I understand a lot of the pictures, or some of the pictures, I don't know how many, are actually from your collection.
Yeah, there's I was fortunate enough. There's a lot of people that help contribute to the book. I was fortunate enough to be one of those people that could help contribute, and it was arranged that they came up. When I say they, it was Pixel Dan and Val Staples planned a trip up to Michigan, because between Justice Curry, Brock Snyder, and myself, we had, let's just say, probably 95% of everything they needed from the vintage toy line.
Wow.
So it was a massive photo shoot. And I know Justice has talked about it, and there's videos of him to shoot there where they did the Eternia and the arms were backwards, which is funny, and it's in the book like that. It's just there's funny things that came from this. But a lot of the mint on card figures are from Justin's collection. A lot of the loose figures are from my collection, and then there's a fair amount of loose of Brock's in the book as well. And then there's some randoms in there as well. One of the randoms that I know for a fact is neither Justin's, myself's, or Brock's is Rio Blast, and mine was in the book, and I was helping with editing, proofreading, just kind of checking through things, as just another set of eyes. That's really all it was. And I'm reading Rio Blast's bio, and it says 8 guns or whatever it was, 10 guns, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And I'm looking at the picture, and I go, that doesn't make any sense. My Rio Blast was missing one gun, was broken off. He's got a tandem gun over his shoulder. One of the tips was broken off clean all the way back to couldn't see it, couldn't tell. I never knew any different. And I'm like, oh, stop. You got to get this. That's not, it's so, the APB went out, and somebody else was able to find a Rio Blast that was good. And then likewise, the APB came out that they needed a Mechabyte Battle Cat or Mechabyte Panther. And that's late in the 2000X line, not very common. And loose, that's even more obscure. Well, it just so happened I have about 5 loose 2000X items, and that's one of them that was still brand new with the rubber bands on the tail holding the gun in place and the claws in there. And so that got sent to Indiana for the photographs, and there was a lot of back and forth, photos or items being shipped to them to take photos. It was good. It was a really crazy long 2.5 days, something like that. But it was really cool.
So they set up at your place, or you had to bring it, or
both? So we set up at Justin's house with they had a relatively mobile setup with a paper backdrop and some stuff they could do, and then they came up here to my place, and basically on the other side of the door there, we set up the other same type of studio type of thing, and we just started feeding figures. They started feeding figures in, and they would take pictures. And I make it sound like it's fast. It wasn't fast.
Of course not.
I think it was something like 22 hours up straight is what I wound up doing, or something for that. I almost fell over, like one of those weird, your body's starting to kind of go, and I lost my balance inside of the toy room, and somehow
Don't do that.
yeah, scary. I'm in some crazy pirouetted stance where I'm holding a shelf that is knocked off the bracket, but I've managed to catch it. I'm in this weird stance, and Val is on the other side taking pictures, and he hears this. He's like, "You okay?" I'm like, I could use a hand. And he came in, and I'm just in this weird pose. Oh, he helps put the shelf back on, and amazingly nothing fell or was damaged, but it was long
Wow.
photo shoot and very, very tired and fatigued. And I had to go to work that morning.
Oh,
wow.
no.
Now, were you in Plastic Crack? I know Justice was,
Yeah.
and I still haven't even found it
Yeah.
yet. He keeps saying that it's on Amazon Prime, and I look, and because we have Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
and I can't find it.
It's there.
I gotta look again, but it is Plastic Crack. I'll
Yep.
look again
Yep.
because I looked and I was like, well, maybe it's not loaded yet. And
Yep.
and I
Yep, we're both. He's the star of Plastic Crack, or one of the main focal points within it. And when Guillermo, the producer, director, creator of the show, was looking and trying to find these concepts, Justin was mentioned, and then when Justin talked to them, he was like, "Well, we got all these other guys up here," and then it turned into, "Well, this could work out pretty good," because it wasn't originally supposed to come up here. He wasn't planning on it, meaning Guillermo and Plastic Crack and the filming crew.
right.
But then they came up. It turned out to be a major part of the show. They were here for several days. I was down at Justin's place for some of the filming. They were up here at my place for some of the filming. So yes, I'm in it, but as an ancillary, just helping out. But it's fun. It's really cool. It's a good show. You should check it out. It's definitely available.
For it again.
And there is, Guillermo may or may not like me saying this. I don't know. There is a season 2. I don't know when it's
Okay.
there is a season 2 that was shot and filmed, and I believe it's produced, or something like 90% of it's produced. And so don't hold me to that, but there is a season 2 that was filmed. When it's going to come out, if it's going to come out, I don't know. And there is some more with both Justin and I in season 2.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm gonna look for it again because I've tried, and I even looked on YouTube, and you can't find it anywhere. But I'll look again because that was I remember before it came out, he was promoting it, and I was like, okay, because
Yeah, he's talked about it a lot.
Yeah, because I figured it would be like that Netflix show they did with the toys that made us. I'm thinking it's similar to that, right?
It's akin to it. It's not the same, but it's akin in the sense that it's toys related. It's the challenges, the woes of collecting. You get to see some amazing collectors, their collections. It's a different take on toy collecting for sure. And it's definitely absolutely worth a watch. Absolutely worth a watch. So that is available. I believe I think it's on Amazon. It's got to be on Amazon. Check it out.
I'll look. Now, what do you see as a challenge to collecting?
Space and money.
Space is always an issue.
Space is the major issue. How you deal with your space?
Yep, and notice space was first, and I don't money. You can always make more money, is basically the mindset. As long as you don't get yourself in trouble, you can sell what you have to cover your butt. But as long as you work hard and stay focused, you can always make more money. So the space, I think, is the biggest challenge. And by no means, we're not buying rocket firing Boba Fett's over here. That's not what I'm saying. You can work till you're blue in the face with like what I'm talking about, and I'm still not going to have a rocket firing Boba Fett, right? But there's reality check here, and space is, I think, the biggest reality check for me because of the way I collect and the level of what I'm collecting, trying to do the He-Man stuff. You've got big ticket items that take up a tremendous amount of space. The bikes, I have 9 different, I think 9 different He-Man bikes and bicycles, and the riding bouncer cat, and the bookshelf furniture piece here, and a furniture piece
I was
here.
Yeah.
noticing
And don't you have a plate, the toy box?
The toy box is in the other room. So yeah, these are.
Oh my God. Oh geez.
So those are two of the pieces.
Yeah.
back when children's furniture was a thing, and you looked at them in like the Sears catalog, J.C. Penney.
The Christmas catalog, and you knew you wasn't gonna get one.
What it's funny. It's different parts of the country, different things, right? But I never hear people talking about Montgomery Ward like I remember Montgomery Ward. It's always J.C. Penney. And I hear, service merchandise or Whitmark, but I rarely hear Montgomery Ward.
Well, I grew up in Boston. I don't remember ever seeing a Montgomery Ward. So
yeah, I'm from South Carolina, and I think it was like one, but you had service merchandise was the big one, Sears, JCPenney, those places. So I guess it was more like a regional thing.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be. It's funny, different parts of the country. Like my grocery store, I grew up in Phoenix area. Grocery store was Smitty's. I moved out here. There's no Smitty's. I'm like, I need to go to Smitty's. Where's the grocery? It's Meyer out here. I'm like, oh, okay. So
or I grew up with Bradley's, and Bradley's is gone. It was like Kmart, and people, what's Bradley's? Nothing, I guess. They only had like 138 stores, but
So how do you handle your space? I know you said something earlier about having a storage locker.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have on-premise storage to where I don't have to pay for anything. It truly is storage area, so it's not like I can make it look good or anything. But yeah, there's a lot in storage. There's I think the last count between Dragon Ball Z and the Masters collection, it was somewhere around 55 to 60 totes in storage. And like I said, I think about 10 of those are Dragon Ball Z. There's probably 4 or 5 miscellaneous, 4 or 5 that I plan on selling stuff, and then the rest will be my He-Man collection stuff that I don't want to sell. And then I also have a huge box that I had to kind of make to accommodate store displays and cardboard signs that were big, like 6-foot He-Mans and things like that I just don't have the space for. But because I can fold them flat and they're able to be folded flat because that's how they came, I'm able to put them back and put them away until I have the space someday.
I'd love to find is one of those rubber suits that they used in like Toys R Us or Child World back in the early 80s. The really scary looking rubber suits that He-Man and Skeletor.
Yeah.
They do the flops with, the ones?
Yeah, those are creepy. Those are really creepy.
I've never seen one again. So I don't know if there's any still floating around out there, but
somebody got.
So apparently I do not know this for fact, so don't hold me to it. Apparently those original rubber ones that we see vintage pictures of from Toys R Us, where they're really creepy, or like the Parade Day and some of those things, the ones that were all like rubberized type of stuff, a lot of those have deteriorated and are gone. But some of the accessory pieces, again, I mentioned Martin, who had some of the stuff in Germany. He had, and I believe it's the original chest piece from Hordak from that set. And he had to either remake the head and the blaster or something, but some of the physical pieces that were done back then are still around. But the rubberized suit, thing, I think most of those have deteriorated or gone, I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I just wondered about that. Because if they were out there, I would think that somebody would turn one up eventually.
Somebody got about 2 of them in their basement somewhere.
Probably.
You never know.
Still come up. Like I missed one not that long ago, but the jackets you mentioned, the 80s movie, they're crew jackets, and they still come up on auction for sale every once in a while. And so yeah, there's bound to be stuff that someone uncovers. A bunch of reels, the old 1-inch production TV quality reels, surfaced in a locker a few years back on eBay. Tons of them. Just weird. You just never know.
Yeah, you hear about these warehouse finds every so often, and you're like, did you really
How
find
come
that?
I can't find that? I go to the thrift store every day and find nothing. I go to yard sales and find baby clothes and Christmas lights. And you see these guys every day. They're on Facebook. Look what I found at a yard sale.
Right.
Sure you did. But I mean, there is stuff out there. I mean, there's still stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's getting harder.
Yeah, more and more people collecting, more and more people in the know. Yeah, it's definitely. I don't mind. It's not like I'm complaining about it, but it's definitely more of a challenge now. Which, to be fair, is kind of why I enjoy the toy hunt and the garage sales. Like I mentioned, it brings me back to my grandfather. There's a nostalgic aspect that I just can't replace when I garage sale. It's amazing. I enjoy it. But for profitability, to the point that you're saying, it's hard to know that I'm going to be able to sustain myself on that. It's a roll of the dice. It's either a good area, a really big hustle, a lot of luck. It was beyond what I was comfortable doing to try to make a go of it on that aspect, which is why I spun off and did the clothing line with Retro Rags Limited, and then eventually Mock Masters, and those were ways for me to, in essence, turn my passions into a paycheck without having to constantly go to flea markets, constantly hustle and try to find these things to flip and sell all the time.
Yeah.
This could be my way of paying for all the stupidity of it I have behind me. So, yeah.
So you do sell? Where do you sell? Do you sell on Facebook Marketplace or just Facebook?
I haven't sold flipping, buying lots and flipping. I really haven't done much of that in a really long time. When I mentioned I have some totes of things that I'll sell, or most of that stuff is modern trade bait or flips that I can use to do certain things. Every once in a while, there might be something like the Fortnite Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes. I'm sorry. I picked an extra one up. I threw them up in the attic, and I maybe have 5 to 10 items that I've purposely bought to forget about for 10 years and see if I roll the dice well with. But for the most part, I really don't play that game hardly at all anymore.
Okay.
Any Masters figures you wish they would make that hadn't been done? Because I know I was sorry to see Super 7 lose their contract.
Yeah.
Because they were making a lot of obscure Filmation pieces. Is there anything out there that you would love to see them do?
Well, I would like to see some representation of a giant, a Megator or Titus, and
Yeah.
I don't care even because I don't know if it was real. I think it was, but there's an Eternia Mega Construct set that I saw a picture of. I don't know if it was a legitimate one. I think it might have been a teaser as to what could be that was actually built by Mega Constructs. But the reason why I think that is because on the board down below with the minifigures were 2 giants, and those had to be special bucks. Those are specially tooled pieces to get to that size. That's where I thought it might be a legit piece. And if it is, I'm okay. If those actually come to life, I got my giants. I don't need to have Origins scale 16-inch giants. That's fine. I just want to see modern day giants in a larger scale format than what the others are, at least nearly appropriate. I'd like to see those.
Mattel Creations Megator for $450. You don't want to.
You don't want to crowdfund a Megator.
They're
or
3.5 feet tall.
what was the dragon's name?
Granomir.
Granomir.
Scale Granomir.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so expensive. Both of them are, the red and green. I don't know.
He's got the
I'm very fortunate that I bought all of my classics when they came out, and with one exception of one series. And then that series several years later wound up being on their blowout sales when they were closing doors. So I managed to get all of the Matty collectors in that series as it came out back in the day. So I couldn't imagine trying to pick up that line now. The prices are just so expensive.
Yeah, some of the figures are way out there, and others are surprisingly cheap, like under $50. Only a handful of them, but they're the figures that you're like, I don't really know who this person is anyway. But then the ones that you really want, they can't get up there. Yeah, so you got to do like find a lot somewhere.
I wanted Filmation to do Randor's dad. I don't know if you remember
that
episode.
No.
Oh my God.
In the original Filmation, I think it was season 2, Randor finds his father. His father's has been held prisoner for the last 30 years or something. He's been a prisoner of some witch. And he goes to rescue him. He-Man helps, all of that, right? He finds Dad, brings him back to Eternia and Dirty, and then Dad is like, thanks, I really got to go.
Yeah.
And this takes off, and he's like, but Father. And he was like, yeah, well, it's been a long time, and I don't really want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I got to go see the universe.
Yeah.
And you're
right. Just walked off. It's like he hasn't seen Randor for 30 years. I think it was like, what?
Really?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh, thanks for freeing me, but I don't want to hang around. I got to go.
If you see it, I mean, when you get to that part, your mouth just drops.
Because it's like a regular He-Man adventure, and it's like, oh, he's rescuing his dad.
Yeah.
Here comes He-Man, and they beat the witch, and he brings him home. Well, this is my father. Oh, yeah, nice to meet you. I got to go get a pack of smokes.
He does not stick around. I mean, he doesn't even spend the night. Soon as he gets there, he's like, well, I've been locked up. I haven't seen the universe. I really need to just go and explore. And he
I'll
leaves.
Hit you up.
I got to go watch that now. Yeah.
You have to see that episode.
I forget the name of the episode, but I think it's season 2.
I think so. I think it's near getting close to the end of the run. But I'm sure if you type it into Google or even you,
Randor
finds his father episode, you'll find it. Because you're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is cool.
It's a jaw-dropping moment. You're like, wait a minute, what the hell's Filmation wrote this one? Somebody's got confused.
You guys look up T-Bob. I'll look up Randor's father.
Yeah. Now, do you see an end to your collecting?
As I've gotten a little older and my gray is really starting to proliferate, yeah, there is potentially an end to it. But I also say this, and I am serious about it, there really isn't an end to collecting Masters of the Universe the way I collect it. And I don't mean the way I collect it. I mean that with the logo and trying to find officially licensed products and things of that nature, there is a pretty finite threshold. I'm not talking knockoffs, all these crazy variants and stuff. There really kind of is a number. I don't know where it's at. I don't know where that line is, but I have trading cards from Greece. Well, that's a merchandise product. I'd like to have all the merchandise products. I'm not necessarily saying, do I want to get all the Greece-produced figures, if there even are Greece-produced figures, right? Like there are France-produced figures and India-produced figures. I'm not talking about going down that wormhole. I like the merchandise and some of those type of things, but I want it to be licensed. So, yes, if I wanted to keep collecting, I don't think I'd ever have a reason to stop. But I do think at some point, either I'll lose the steam realize, which I already realize, and we all know that this can't come with me when I go. Like, I don't know where that next progression is, but I do see at some point I'd slow down or restructure my focus. But that's not for a long time. I still have my forever home, the empty nest home, if you will, where, we're literally planning single floor house so we can stay there, laundry on the main floor, no stairs. We want to have the garages and the outbuilding. And yes, a massive, huge toy room. And if it's not a room, and I need an outbuilding, the space to build the outbuilding to accommodate the collection. After that, that's where at some point my finish line may be.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
And there's always other stuff. There's always something else, a piece of this and a piece of that.
There is, and we all love toys. That's why we're here. That's what brought us together, right? But there is a world outside of toys. And I joke that on my tombstone will read, "Here lies Joe, the man who knew a lot about a little and a little about a lot." Because I like to do a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff that I know a little about, and I know a lot about He-Man. So let's expand and do those things. I mentioned hunting. I used to train heavily in MMA and cage fought and did train UFC fighters, and I was in network television and radio where I've script wrote. I've been a host on radio. Been to all these different concerts because of the media connections, and there's this whole other world outside of toys, but toys are where it brings us together. Just like toys brought us together, like we're talking to today. But one of the crazy things, which is still surreal, and if he ever sees this, he'll probably chuckle, is Lars from the band Rancid. We got to know each other because of toys. Someone on Instagram mentioned him, a friend of mine who was a super fan of his, mentioned me to him about some He-Man something. He wound up following me for months. I had no idea because, again, I'm just an aloof sometimes. And next thing I know, I had an idea for a shirt. I saw who he was. We talked, and Retro Rags Limited did 4 different T-shirt collaborations with Rancid Band, and we're talking toys with, it's crazy, and it all stemmed from toys, which is amazing.
Yeah,
and we love the nostalgia of the toy, not just the toys, but we do comics, vinyl records, all sorts of things like that we're into. And there's a lot of people out there. They want to reminisce, they want to reach back, they want a piece of their childhood.
Yeah.
Life's hard. and this softens it up a little bit.
Yeah, my mom asked me this, and it can be a kind of heart-tugging type of a question, and I get where it's coming from. But she said, why do you buy all of these toys? And she sees the videos and she sees all this and she wonders, and she says, did you not have a good childhood? Is it something that we didn't do, or you didn't? I'm like, no, it's actually almost 180%, 180 degrees opposite of that. It's bringing me back to those moments that you were there and helping with the toy, or me asking for something at the store and you saying no. It brings it back to this amazingly simple, great time that you afforded me. It has nothing to do with all this extra stuff. What I'm chasing is my old childhood and memories with your mom and dad, and in this crazy, some people go after Coke. This is our nostalgic Coke. Like, I'm running lines of nostalgia here. Let's go, hit it hard. So so she got it. It understood. She understood it. But I do understand that perspective, and if you don't communicate it and you aren't open and have conversations like this, and then actually make sure those that may have that thought see said conversations, I think it's important because there is misconception on what some of this is. Some people view it as hoarding. I don't think many people view what I'm doing as hoarding, but with the space challenge, it can start to look like that because it can be chaotic. When I do an unboxing, if someone walked in that door, they'd think, "Oh my God, this is not good," because there's paper and boxes and everything's all over the place. And in an hour later, it's all tucked, neat, organized, and put away, and the whole space is open. But space eventually we run out of space, and it can look bad. So
it's not hoarding if it's organized.
Yeah.
You'll end up with that relative. I have a friend you can talk to.
Yeah.
He
right.
might help you.
They want you to go see a priest or go see a shrink or something like that because they think something's wrong with you mentally. You're depressed.
Yeah,
no, it helps me from being depressed.
Yeah, it's a good release. It's a good vent. I have been wanting to go live for 2 weeks. I really truly have, and I haven't because the timing of things. This is personal, right? I don't like to go too late just because of how I've gotten used to doing certain things. I could go live at 10 o'clock at night. I just tend not to, but I haven't had the chance because of Retro Rags, my main job. I had a trade show to go for my main job. We had a trade show to go to Retro Rag or for Mock Masters last week, the Great Ohio Toy Show. There's mail pieces that are coming in. There's things that I want to acknowledge and say thank you to, and it's almost like it's an overwhelmed type of a thing. And an appointment set was good, and it's a release. So I haven't been able to do this, and this is good for me. This is really good because even though I have work to do after this, this is good because it forced me to do what I wanted to do, and it allowed me to have this decompress. It allowed me to have fun and chat with you guys. So it's absolutely beneficial on more accounts than just nostalgic, and it's not depression. It is a good way to release and just relax.
Yeah. There's a comment. It says there's no such thing as hoarding. It's called love, and the username is Master Hoarder.
Yeah.
So where can we find you? Where are you?
Yeah, where can people find you?
It's lots. To be fair, it's easy enough. You can Google MOTU Joe. I show up all over the place. I just tried this just because I was curious. I was looking up my dad. I wanted to find out some info. By the way, I know my dad. It's not like they were not around. I just was curious. What does my dad show up on a Google search? So at any rate, you can find me through Facebook, MOTU Joe. You can find me through Retro Rags Limited through Facebook as well as Instagram. You can find me through Mock Masters on Instagram and Facebook. And support at Retro Rags Limited is the email. Joe at mock-masters.com is the email for Mock Masters. And I'm pretty accessible. I welcome people to message, ask questions. I don't. You mentioned buying and selling. I don't typically sell that much anymore. I used to get a lot of questions. Hey, do you have this for sale? But that's kind of died off now. But I'm happy to answer questions for people.
Sure.
With a caveat, and I know you guys have talked about this. I'm not pricing out someone's toy collection. Sorry, guys. That's not going to happen. If you want to
call Justice Curry for that. Call Justice Curry for that. He loves it.
Yeah, I know. He is the guy everyone know. Justice Curry does free evaluations, 100% free. It's at
he will come to your home,
and he will take care of you. It is absolutely enough. It's free. He wants you to message him. He wants you to send him a DM. He wants you to even find his email address, send him an email. It's okay. He will evaluate your collection for free. No charge. If it takes him 10 hours, don't let it fret you. Send him the message.
I know he just did a whole video on that like a couple of weeks back. About people constantly messaging him like 50 times a day asking, how much is this?
Yeah. And I still get a question once in a while, and I do understand why. I get it. I have a lot of stuff, but what people tend to forget though is that I bought a Classics when the Classics came out. I haven't bought a Classics in 5 years or 10, whatever it is. I have no idea what the market is anymore. The time it would take me to go and look at eBay, look at sold listings is the same amount of time it would take you. There's really
why would I do that when I can message you and you can do the work for me?
Exactly. And I know Justin uses this line, I'd rather teach a man to fish than feed him one day, feed him a life for life as opposed to give him a fish for one day.
Yeah.
I am very, very much in that mindset. As a matter of fact, this is I can be intense, with all this happy joy, I can also be intense too. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I can be very honest and blunt, and it can be misconstrued. But I'm also very polite. If someone reaches out to me and say they're from a different country, I don't speak their language, and they don't, vice versa. If you had the capability to reach out to me to ask me the question, you had the capability to do a Google Translate as well. So it's like I'm at that level of courtesy. If I'm going to reach out to you, I'm going to translate and ask in advance and try to be respectful of that. If I'm going to ask you for something to help me with something, I can at least take that minimal step to make it easier for you. And if I get a request that's not like that, I'm immediately taken back. Like, dude, you're online. You couldn't even do the translate. This is going to be a bad one. Let's see what happens. I will still look at the email, or the PM. I'll still I'll translate it. And most of the time I'll respond back saying, hey, but yeah, I get why we get asked. We put our faces out there. We talk about the stuff. If you don't have enough thick skin and you can't be at least humble enough or kind enough to respond and say, hey, I don't speak English, or hey, I'm not pricing out your entire collection. May I suggest you try this? Whatever it may be, that's okay. And you don't have to answer everybody and do everything, but you have to at least be kind and courteous and respectful because of the nature of what we do. We put ourselves out there. You cannot be a butthead about it if you get asked these crazy random things all the time. Obviously, we all have our thresholds, right? Which is why we're talking now, right?
Sure. I wanted to ask you, you alluded to this a little bit earlier when you were talking about that if you bought everything toy-wise that was produced through Mattel or by Mattel, how much it would cost last year. What do you think about all that oversaturation? Because I'm noticing like we're seeing more stuff being produced now than when we were kids. And they're still selling it to us. They're still selling it to us. And it's line after line, wave after wave. Like if you think about it, if you tie in everybody, say G.I. Joe, for example, between all the different incarnations being produced by Hasbro, plus Super 7, plus 3-0, plus I know there's a couple of other companies that are doing them. I can't even remember the names of. Mezco also is doing it. There's like 9 different incarnations of just G.I. Joe currently being produced. Plus, it's wave after wave after wave, pounding the surf, one after another. And I know Hasbro's got sketches for classifieds going out 3 years in advance. Yeah, and it's like they didn't make this much when we were kids, and it's like 10 times the price.
Yeah.
What do you see a lot of oversaturation? What do you think about all of that?
I think I've been saying it pretty ardently for the last year and a half. And I think we're pretty much there. I think the bubble is bursting. I think we're at that point now between the plastic prices that surged post-COVID, production chain issues, other things of that nature that have driven the costs up for the manufacturers legitimately, not BS. There have been increases. But there have also been other increases in other profit centers too. So I don't want to get off on a tangent there with that. But anyway, I think the bubble's going to burst because the pricing of things is just going to get to a point where we've seen it happen with Mattel. I'm sorry, with the Marvel Legends and their revenues the last year. They weren't quality fit. They weren't characters that people wanted. They wanted maybe one. They kept turning and burning, pushing things out there, and they weren't buying it. The best example is my own collection of friends and people I talk to. They're like, "Ooh, look at the latest wave of Marvel Legends." They're like, "Yeah, maybe that one guy I'll get." When it used to be, I got to get them all. I want all of them. I have to have them all. Now it is, some of that is corporate greed. Some of that is the market driving prices up. And I do think we are at a bubble bursting point. Crowdfunding was mentioned several different times in here. I don't have a problem with it. I don't. Well, to a degree, right? There's certain products and certain aspects and toys that shouldn't be crowdfunded. If you're in, you're in. As an example, the GI Joe, the jet, that is a quintessential piece for the GI Joe collector. I understand it's bigger. I get it. It's modern, but that shouldn't have been a question mark for you guys. That should have been, we have to do this because we believe in our brand and our product. Now, the Rancor beast that didn't work was surprising. I know it switched to Hasbro, but still, it's surprising, but it spoke volumes. They're like, nah, we already have 4 Rancor beasts. I don't need another one because of point of saturation. So with Masters, we're getting the figures that we've had, with some exceptions with the Rise of the Sun figures that were available back in the past. And once we get through those and we have some 2000 X homages and some, random things that have been thrown in there, we're staying within the realm of, I think, okay, but I don't see it. I don't know what they're going to do much past 2023. Much past this year. I feel that they'll be just grasping at straws then, and it becomes a money grab where they start doing like what the classics did, start throwing in random obscure figures that really no one had ever heard of or remember at least. That's when I think it can get dangerous. You also look at Mondo as a really good example where you have a $450 or $600. Is that what it was? $600 for Eternia. And then you look at Mondo's Battle Cat at $450. People were there's just not a comparison between the tooling and this piece and that piece, and they're both, one was going to happen no matter what, right? It was put up for pre-order for a day or two and they're going to make it. The other one was crowdfunded. They're not the same, but the costs seemed very similar, yet the amount of plastic is not the same. The tooling is nowhere the same. And that type of price point is really, really top tier that I think even the diehard collectors aren't happy about paying that kind of price. It doesn't need to be that expensive. It should be a lot more than what we paid back in the day. I'm not dumb enough to think that. It should be, but it shouldn't be at that extreme increase.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's starting this very long diatribe. That's why the bubble is going to burst, is that they're squeezing us too much. And keep in mind, like you said, it's us. It's the same people that were growing up back in the day. So if you want to know when the bubble's going to burst, it's going to be when we stop opening up our wallets, because they're going to keep taking our money until they get to a point of a bad ROI, not once, not twice, but they have their 3 strikes. This isn't working. We're out. And they haven't hit that yet. So I don't know when it's going to burst, but I feel like until we do what like happened with Marvel Legends and some other things continue to progress like that, they're going to just keep churning out the stuff. But I do think we're at that threshold. I think you're seeing it plateau right now in the last 6 months, 8 months. I think we're there.
Yeah, and I think that's an aspect a lot of people don't think about too, is, like I alluded to earlier, that they've had the same target audience for 40 to 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's because young people are not that interested in a lot of this.
So that's why I talk about that with the NFTs. I get made fun of because I like the Cryptoys Masters of the Universe stuff. To be fair, I wouldn't be looking at Cryptoys if it wasn't for the Masters of the Universe, but I like it and I like where it's going. I think there's a tremendous potential. It's because it's a different form of play. We don't play that way. I didn't play that way when I was 10 years old. They play this way. Now a 10-year-old does. It's a completely different mindset. And to write it off, to think it's stupid, I think is foolish. I don't think it's stupid. I think it's foolish. And I'm in. I'm going to give it a shot. It's just a different way of play.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. And especially that, and we were going to do a video on that oversaturation too, especially after that last wave announcement from Mattel, because that's a lot of drops at once.
The origins, the new origins. It wasn't it
Revelations
like 40,
and origins and something. Yeah, it's a ton
like
of
40 figures all at once. Well,
and
maybe
Sunman
they'll space it out.
All these different waves, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot for you to take in all at once, even if they do spread it out. It's like you're throwing it all at once, so you get people feeling overwhelmed.
That's why I gave up on classifieds, because I couldn't find them. I couldn't hardly find them, especially the Cobra Island stuff, because it was never at Target. And then that went out the side door. But
you're not kidding.
They've only been making them for 3 years, and they're already close to 80 figures. You know, I think the last one that was stamped is number 78, if I remember correctly, from the last wave that was announced.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I remember buying the first couple figures and seeing 01 and 02 or whatever those were, and
01 through 05, which was printed twice because they redid them with different color schemes. And now they have another wave that are carded instead of in the box.
Yeah, so it's the same figure on a card instead of in the box.
And it's like, all right, it's too much.
Those retro 6-inch fit our Ghostbusters case.
But I was just like, nah, you know what? I can't find them. I'm not chasing them around aftermarket. I like them, but you know what? I'm just not going to get them anymore. And we're seeing more and more of that, although we're seeing a lot of other people that are so disenfranchised, because we hear about it a lot, that they got so frustrated trying to complete a line, they gave up and actually sold it all because they don't even want to see it anymore. And I've heard a lot of that with NECA, with Star Wars Black Series, and with Funko, where they're like, I got so sick of it, I sold everything. I hope I don't regret it. And that's a sad state of mind when you get to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, I get tired of figures, but I'm not going to sell it. I just won't buy any more, but I'm not going to sell what I have. Because you'll hear the stories, and I feel bad for some people. You know, they sell off their collection for whatever reason. Some people sell it because they got tired of it, then they rebuy it. And it's like, okay, you bought it at cost. Now, 10 years later, it's in double, triple in price. You know, and I know things happen, and sometimes you have to sell.
Yeah.
But if you sell because you're tired, I think you should just box it up, put it in the garage, and wait a while.
Our advice is you stow it away, and then like when you go and look at it a year or two later, you'll know. Yeah. Either you'll be like, oh, that's where this is, or you're going to be like, why did I buy this? And then you'll know, and then you can go ahead and sell it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or cherish it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's good advice. It's good advice. But yeah, you're right. If you need a bill to pay, sell it. It's toys. It's, you know, you can rebuy it, but yeah, you're going to pay 20%, 30%, 2-3 times what you paid. That, to be fair, is one of the reasons why I buy as much as I possibly can right when it comes out. I don't like, when I say this sounds almost hypocritical. I don't like the modern day hunt. I like going to garage sales, flea markets, and hunting like that. I don't like having to sit there going, okay, 9 p.m., 12 Eastern time. Okay, here we go. Got 4 different windows. Here we go. All right, go. And it just sucks. That sucks to try to get a toy now. And
going around to the stores. We did that a little bit and got tired of that quick.
Yeah.
Trying to find things on the shelves.
The community, though, the toy community as a whole is great. And like most communities, there are little pockets of not so good stuff. But generally speaking, the toy community is awesome. I think the He-Man community is really good as well. And that is what also helps me fill in some gaps in some of the collection. There's just certain ways, there's certain things that there is no way I'm going to get without friends, talking, relationships, and having that community and reciprocity. If you just take all the time, that's going to be a short-lived run. But you got to give too, and that's you got to have those relationships. I think to have success in trying to fill in some of those gaps, like you mentioned, I can't do this. It's hard to find that. The community is a real good factor or a key in that, I think.
Yeah, and good points. So let me see, where are we at here? We're about an hour and 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap up.
All right.
Do you have any? Do you have any parting shots? Anything that you need to put out there, or?
Oh no, I actually am quite honored and flattered that you guys had me on. I love to talk about this stuff. I love to do openings and sharings. Like this is one of my latest finds.
Oh wow!
Ah, that's nice.
Great Ohio Toy Show. Rodney. Oh, look at you, stud. He but I found like I said, I found 6 juggernauts at the show. But random toy item, not He-Man related. I have been after one of these for a really long time, and I found one.
Oh, over the top.
Oh.
Lincoln Hawk, baby. Lincoln Hawk, and he's in good shape. His arm. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, in mine.
Oh.
Hold on.
Trash can finds?
Smurfs.
Oh.
It's full of Smurfs.
Please. Okay. Do you have the purple one?
You want to know if you got the purple one?
I don't think so.
Oh, if you ever find the purple one, I'll buy it. It is my favorite. Oh, Gargamel. Wind up Gargamel.
Yep. Wind up walking Gargamel because he's got to chase the little Smurf. See?
Oh man. So what I used to do when I first started doing Retro Rags Limited, I did what was called the Saturday morning serial. Every morning on Saturday at 9 a.m., I went live on the Retro Rags page, and I would stream a cartoon and eat cereal and just shoot the breeze and having a good old time. And that was it. I did that for a couple years. We did over 100 episodes, and it was fun. Most of them were fine, but some of the licensing things and the auto things would flag out. But my favorite episode is there's 2 favorite episodes, but one of them is the Smurfs Gnap episode, and it's basically the Smurfs when they turn purple, they get stung. Sorry, they get stung by a bee. They turn purple. They don't talk. They're angry, and they gnap, and they hop on 2 feet. I had no idea that they made the purple Smurf in that toy line. They made it.
Bit on the tail by the purple fly.
There you go. Yeah. And then they transferred it by biting each other's tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, love that episode. So
I'm a big fan of the Smurfs.
Yeah, we watched that series a few months back. We watched the whole thing. Because and I didn't remember how funny the Smurfs were and how bold they were, because I always thought that they were scary and were running from Gargamel.
No, they're not timid at all.
They're not timid. They gave Gargamel the hardest time. It was actually so much fun going back to watch and watching that again.
Yeah.
But I purple Funko Smurf. The Gannett Funko.
They did the Funko Gannett?
Yeah.
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 I need to get that too now. Those are, like we mentioned earlier, those one random things. I don't want the whole line. I just want that. That purple dang Smurf is something I have to have in my life at some point. I've cried laughing at that episode. I don't know why, but I love that episode.
Yeah, I'm trying it on eBay. I think it was an exclusive to Australia, I think, and I bought it from an Australian website when it came out because I wanted it so bad.
I gotta look it up. This is, I guess, the last thing I'll leave you with is something that everyone was upset about and challenging and whatever to get. But this is a unboxing that I normally would have got. It's got an interesting shipping label. It's got my address on it, but it says it's a relabel. So I don't know if it got shipped and sent back or whatever, but regardless, this is one that has caused some controversy, and I haven't taken it out yet. So there you go.
Duplico.
Oh, Sunman figure.
Yeah.
So he is going to be able to be gotten from Walmart, allegedly. It will be available in the future. This was through the Mattel Creations site that just randomly showed up there one day and sold out in seconds, type of a thing. Yeah, it's a pretty cool figure, and opening up things like that and throwing the box off to the side is kind of what I do in my lives. That's about it. Nothing crazy or complex or complicated at all. Just have some fun like we're doing tonight and share this. So,
do you ever get out this way?
Where are you guys located? I'm sorry.
We're in Georgia.
Oh, that's why you went to Toylanta. Duh. Not too often, but 2024, I am planning to expand and going to different shows that I haven't gone to before. And that also would include Europe, trying to hit up one of the cons over there, Grayskull Con or one of those. But yes, 2024, my plan is to venture outside. This year, just as a throw it out there, I'll be at 17 different shows. They're almost all throughout the Midwest. So PowerCon, that's Ohio. Legion's Con will be in New Jersey. I'll be at the Ohio Toy Show again in October. I'll be at Kane County, the Chicago Toy Show 3 times, all 3 shows. And there's a couple of smaller local shows that we'll also be at. So there's quite a few shows that we're doing, and we've already done a couple. So lots of ways and opportunities to come say hi, and I welcome it. Stop by anytime, say hi. You can find me through Facebook or where we'll be, and yeah, it's always welcome.
Okay, well, it was good talking to you, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. I'll keep watching your guys' channel, and I'll go back and make sure to look up Randor's dad, because I got to see that.
Oh, yeah.
And
now that it's spoiled, but
no, I got to see this now. And then I look forward to hearing your guys' response on the I Need a Hero T-Bob, because I'm telling you, you're going to be smiling from ear to ear for hours. It's that good.
Okay. Well, thank you to everybody that came in and left your comments. We greatly appreciate it. Again, we want to say
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you to MOTU Joe. Check out all of his information, to include his website. Again, he sell these cases. So when y'all ask us about the cases, this is one of the ones that we always recommend, and he has a lot of them. So if you want to see, go on his website.
Or Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah, or Big Bad Toy Store, but it's
MOC Masters.
Yeah, masters.com. MOCmasters.com.
She was trying to read the website.
And you can see all that he has. So again, thank you to everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you again.